German Chancellor Angela Merkel has suggested setting up a legal route for Africans to reach Europe. She says it's one solution to ending illegal migration and people smuggling. Merkel is currently attending the AU-EU summit in Cote d'Ivoire. Back home, she is under pressure to tackle the influx of refugees and will be hoping to demonstrate to her counterparts at the Abidjan meeting that Germany is willing to take foreign policy action.
Consequently, there is a common interest to end illegal immigration and instead create legal opportunities for Africans, like studying or training in the EU. But it is very important that we support the Africans against illegal immigration and prevent people being held in camps in Libya or even being traded in the most awful way. Africans are rightly outraged by this, and so am I. That is why we have a common objective that will certainly play a role at this conference.
To get more on this, we're joined by Joel Millman, Senior Spokesperson, International Organization for Migration. He joins us live from Geneva. Joel, what has IOM done so far to help those migrants caught up in the slavery rings inside Libya?
Well, our largest effort at the moment is what we call your voluntary humanitarian return. We're over 13,000 this year just from Libya to 24 countries. Flights are leaving practically every day now. When we started this 2 years ago, well, 2.5 years ago, we were barely able to move 100 people a month or so at a time, but now we're moving quite swiftly. We were getting access to more and more migrants in detention centers who were agreeing to work with IOM and their diplomatic representatives from their countries to secure documents and funds to return home. We would like to see in the coming months the end of a detention center and more of a licensing or a registration of migrants who don't have otherwise travel documents to be at large in Libya and then plot their futures accordingly. But right now, the movement of thousands of people this year really has to be a positive step, and you see it in the decline in the number of arrivals to Europe from Libya and, of course, in the number of deaths at sea.
Your organization had raised this issue of slavery in Libya, but it seems like it wasn't taken seriously until now. Just how widespread is this practice?
Well, this is a difficult question to answer. We don't know how widespread it is. We understand that forced labor, forced prostitution, exploitation, trafficking of migrants is widespread. Almost all of the people we speak to mention either having experienced it or witnessing it. The slave markets probably is the most extreme and the most public version of this. I mean, people are held against their will, they're beaten, they're heard screaming as they're being tortured so that families will wire cash to the people that are tormenting them. We understand that those who don't have those kind of resources back home or in the diaspora to rely on are the ones who may be subjected to what we call the open-air slave markets, the auctions. We were taken seriously in April when witnesses told us about this, and we shared this with the world, but of course the subsequent live video that appeared in the last few days, that's had an enormous impact as we expected that it would. But again, abuse is widespread, and the slave markets are just one piece of it.
And the EU's policies have come under sharp criticism for spawning the inhuman treatment of migrants in Libya. What's the view of your organization regarding this?
Well, we don't single out anyone, including the authorities in Libya. We understand that the security situation there is dire. It has been dire for years. We see signs of improvement, and we see, more important, signs of engagement with actors both in the international sphere and in Libya itself. You know, it is a long slog. It is a long process. I can tell you that when we started this in March of 2015, just on the repatriation flights, there was a day when we were taking a couple of hundred men out of a prison to go to Senegal. The one individual who had the key to the lockup that was going to open the facility so that these individuals could get on our IOM buses up to Tunisia was killed that morning, and it took us another 12 hours to find somebody who could release these people to our custody. This was very typical 2.5 years ago. You can imagine we couldn't even get charter planes to land in Tripoli because the aircraft insurance companies wouldn't allow them to. Now we have charters twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. So we know that what looks like a terrible situation can improve if you stick with the program. And we have, and so have our partners. So we don't single out anybody for being responsible for the conditions in Libya. Libya is a special case, and we really just think it's time to shift the blame away and focus on the people that are vulnerable and need their attention.
And there are those arguing that the ill treatment of African migrants in foreign countries is an indictment of their home governments. What measures need to be put in place to stem the outward flow of migrants from Africa?
Well, I'm not entirely convinced that this is a problem that can be addressed on any one level. There's a long-term demographic dance, let's say, a marriage that's taking place between the youthful world and the aging world. Europe has a swiftly aging population. They need to replace workers at all levels in great numbers. There's talk of a 50 million worker shortage just in the healthcare industry in the next 2 decades in Europe. These are going to be filled by people from countries like the ones we're seeing taking to the road to get up to Tripoli and get to Europe. We want migration that's legal. We want it to be regular. We want it to be safe. We want it to be secure for everybody, including the sender countries, the transit countries, and the receiving countries. We want people to go where there are jobs. We want people who need workers to be able to access them, and we believe the best way to do that is through legal, documented means that are safe, transparent, and most of all managed by both the sender countries and the receiving countries. And we think that's a possibility, and it can't be avoided.
All right, Joel Millman speaking to us live from Geneva. Thank you.